I love you.
What is going on? What is cracking? You are listening to another episode of Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago Sports Atlanta podcast. With that being said, let's get into it. It is Bears After Dark, and you know what that means. We have to talk about everything nobody in the national media cares about. We're talking everything Chicago Bears from wide receiver 1 to fullback 2. Let's check it out. Let's get into it. Let's get beautiful. If you guys are watching this on TikTok right now, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate you guys all being here. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, get in the TikTok, baby. Hit that follow button if you haven't already, because we're going live every single day talking Chicago Bears football. With that being said, we have some good topics for you guys tonight. I'm really excited about tonight. I think this will be one of the most interesting conversations we've had yet, especially in recent nights, man. In recent nights, we're talking nothing but Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields, and it's just been a lot. It's just been a lot, to say the least. And now, we can finally cool off. The pro day is over. We can just kick back, relax, have a great conversation. Let's get into some things really quick. I want to start off with players that we know are going to be Chicago Bears in 2024. Obviously, Caleb Williams, presumably Keenan Allen, a bunch of other guys have been brought in. But who are your biggest names that you're excited to see improve in the 2024 season? I got a few names. Obviously, we're going offense, and then we're going to go defense. I'm going to pick two players from offense, pardon me, and two players from defense. So I'm excited to get into this. I'm excited to have a real conversation about it, because I do think this conversation isn't talked about enough. The Chicago Bears are in a solid position right now, but before I say anything, I do want to address this comment. What do I think about the Shohei Ohtani situation? I'm Italian. I'm Irish and Italian. We don't snitch. It's just what it is. If you're gambling with an illegal bookie, hey, how you doing? By all means, brother. By all means. I'm not hating. So, I ain't saying nothing. And I'm a Bulls fan. We gonna act like MJ wasn't doing it either. So, I got nothing. If somebody has to take the fall to save Shohei, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But no, man, if anybody should be being investigated, it's Tommy DeVito's agent. But with that being said, let's get into it. Most improved Chicago Bears in 2024, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Now, these don't exactly have to be guys who were on the Bears last season. We could easily pick Keenan Allen. We could easily pick Kevin Byard, or other players like Caleb Williams. Maybe not Caleb Williams because he's a rookie, but we're going after guys who are going to improve from their 2023 season with the Chicago Bears. So let's get into it. Let's have a conversation. I want to start off with offense. I think the real situation to me is when you look at Darnell Wright and what Darnell Wright was able to accomplish in his rookie season without a true center, without consistent help on the line, because Nate Davis started the season injured. Tevin Jenkins finished the season injured. Lucas Patrick is injured every 5 seconds, and Braxton Jones is a walking hold. So with that being said, I think when you bring in Shelton, when you bring in, more offensive guys through the draft, helping it out and really just evolving, there's a lot of evolving and extra work that comes with the 2024 offseason for a guy like Darnell Wright. And, as a Tennessee Volunteers fan, I've watched this guy from start to finish in his collegiate career. And, the guy's an absolute monster. He's an absolute bulldozer. So I'm excited to see what he's going to potentially be able to bring, in year 2 going into his sophomore year. So I'm excited, especially if Tevin Jenkins, Nate Davis stay healthy, especially if they address the offensive line in the draft. You already have Shelton at center. You have a veteran at center. Even Ryan Bates, if he's competitive at the center position. Braxton Jones is decent for sure, but there's a lot of flaws that come with him as well. So you got to take it for what it is. If we can upgrade there, we can upgrade there. But Darnell Wright is my first guy that I'm expecting to have a big year. Number two for me, even though he didn't have a bad year or a mediocre year by any means in 2023, is Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet takes that next step to being a top 5 tight end. That's not me being a fanboy. That's just me being real. The majority of the time in his career in Chicago thus far, he has been blocking, helping the offensive line and helping Justin Fields by time. And now we're bringing in Gerald Everett. I think you're going to see a Cole Kmet who's actually able to go out there and just be a playmaker for the majority of the time, unless he's run blocking. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what Cole is going to be able to do. They have to get him going. They have to get him the ball. And I completely agree with Joseph in the comments. They got to get Kmet the ball more, though, 100%. And I think when you hear Caleb Williams vocally say, like, I don't like running. I can run, but I want to get my guys the ball. I want to get the playmakers the ball so big-time players can make big-time plays. And that's exactly what you want to hear. You know what I mean? So that's really where I'm at right now. So right now, our two guys on offense are going to be Darnell Wright and Cole Kmet. And who's my guy in here? Kenneth? Is that Kenneth? Kenneth 885? Nail right on the head, my brother. Those were my two picks on defense. I'm looking at Tyreek Stevenson, who was a Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate in 2023. Obviously, one of the better rookie corners in the entire league. I think Montez is going to break out, but I also think when a guy like Montez breaks out, it makes the jobs of a TJ Edwards 10 times easier. TJ Edwards is one of those guys that I think really doesn't get talked about enough. I think he has, if in Madden terms, I think he has superstar depth with what he brings. I mean, the guy's a magnet to the ball. You know what I mean? He just finds the ball. Him and Tremaine Edmonds, to be honest. Um, so I'm completely with that. TJ Edwards in, let's see, 2023 defensive stats from TJ Edwards. 91 solo tackles, 64 assists, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. And then 3 interceptions. That was a great year. And when you pair up, let's say potentially a Jared Verse or a Dallas Turner at number 9, or just another pass rusher in general with Montez Sweat, it's going to make his job 10 times easier. Somebody said, what if they don't draft Caleb Williams? If they don't draft Caleb Williams, I don't know. I don't know how to even feel. You know what I mean? If you did all of that with Fields, if you did all of that with Caleb, and here's my thing to why I think you're drafting Caleb Williams. One, Ryan Poles hides his hand very well. I don't think Keenan Allen would have been invited to come with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus to the pro day of Caleb Williams unless they were looking to draft Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? Like, I could see obviously Ryan Poles being there, Shane Waldron, Matt Eberflus, sure. But Keenan Allen being there, they were making a statement. You know what I mean? They know each other very well. They just brought in Keenan the other week, so they definitely wanted to do something there. But yeah, so my number 4 most improved, or my top 4 most improved players in 2024, Tyreek Stevenson, TJ Edwards, Darnell Wright, and Cole Kmet. I'm really excited about them. And I also want to throw in another name, Kevin Byard, who I've seen this guy pick off Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You know what I mean? I've seen him pick off some of the greats with subpar pass rushers, with subpar defenses. So, to give him this opportunity with Montez Sweat, Tremaine Edmonds, Jalen Johnson, and them boys, I'm really excited to see what Kevin Byard's going to be able to do statistically. I think we're looking at an Eddie Jackson 2018 caliber season. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of the gun there, but I'm willing to bet he has over 5 interceptions in the 2024 season, especially when you look at a guy on the other end in Jaquan Brisker who's going to be able to do the dirty work while he can just be a ball hawk the entire time and scope out the field. So I'm excited about Kevin Byard in a Chicago Bears uniform. But, and I think there's a lot of different conversations we can have right now about what this defense is going to look like. What do you think? What do you guys think right now? Who would you say has the better season, the offense or the defense? Who's more exciting? Because that's really, that's the question. You bring in Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, all these different guys, Roma Dunze maybe, Malik Neighbors if he's available, Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU if he's available. You know what I mean? Like there's questions with Shane Waldron being there. This isn't like Luke Getsy's there. So, you already had a defense that led the league in interceptions. Hi, Megan. You already had a defense that led the league in interceptions, already had one of the best run stopping defenses in the league. So there's no reason to me to why the Chicago Bears defense isn't top 5 in this league going into 2024, especially if they address the pass rush. And I think, when you break that down and understand that they've already solidified themselves, and there's a lot of questions on that offensive line. So, we're going to have to see what happens. We're going to see how quickly Caleb adjusts. But if all things go right, it's going to be interesting to see how fast this offense catches up with this defense. That's going to be really dope to me. But, number two, kind of breaking that in and having that realistic conversation, let's talk about realistic expectations, because realistic expectations are where Bears fans start to argue. This is where we get a little chippy. Some guys last year said we were going to win 5 games. Some guys said we were going 16-1. You know what I mean? Like, some guys were in between. Where do you see the Chicago Bears finishing in the NFC North, in the entirety of the NFL in 2024? I think the conversation is first or second in the division, and there is no argument. Now, I'm not saying like are we going to do that? We'll have to see. You know what I mean? But that's the expectation. We won 7 games last year and almost made the playoffs. You are not looking at anything less. You know what I mean? You need to be a wild card team. You need to be fighting for the division. You need to be going after it, especially when Sam Darnold's the quarterback of the Vikings. I'm not going to say the Green Bay Packers took a step back, but the Packers and the Lions both still haven't solidified themselves as guarantees. You know what I mean? So I think you're in a position right now to where you're in a window of 9 to 12 wins. I think that's where I'm at right now for the Bears. 9-8 is a successful season. I would prefer 11-5. Or wait, is that even possible? What is it? 11 and help me out, chat. 11-6. 11-6 is where I'm at. I always forget that extra game. But yeah, that's really where I'm at. That's really where I'm at. So, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun to break down, what this team is potentially going to be able to do and how they're going to be able to do it. I think there's a variety of different ways. Really quickly, before we continue, I do want to say I appreciate everybody who smacked that follow button thus far, everybody who's joining the community. If you're new here and you haven't, smack that follow button. What are you doing? We're going live every single day talking Chicago Bears football, making content. Bear the fuck down, baby. I see the comments right now. But with that being said, man, I really think this team has a shot at winning the division. And I haven't said that confidently in years. Last year I said it and I was confident about it. But at the end of the day, in the back of my mind, I was still like, but Luke Getsy, but we have no pass rush. And this was prior to getting Montez Sweat. You know what I mean? Who is Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon going to be? You know what I mean? We didn't know. And I think, towards the end of the season, we got a realistic expectation going into 2024 of what it could potentially look like. With the quarterback position being damn near solidified with Caleb Williams, I'm looking at a completely different dynamic offense. I'm looking at an offense that isn't going to be as limited as it was in 2023. And that's not just because of Justin Fields. That's also because of Luke Getsy and the weapons that we provided. Darnell Mooney, Velus Jones, Tyler Scott, just guys who couldn't catch outside of Cole Kmet and DJ Moore. So to really be able to bring in Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift and Gerald Everett with Cole Kmet and DJ Moore and Caleb Williams with a revamped offensive line and a true center in Shelton, maybe Ryan Bates, who knows? I think with Shane Waldron, you're in a real situation right now, like we saw with the Seattle Seahawks, that there are all these weapons in the world, and there are so many different ways the Chicago Bears offense can beat you in 2024 that I'm just really excited about. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about it enough. Okay, so the question is, did Caleb Williams blow off Keenan Allen when he saw him at the pro day? I mean, listen, I know how it looked. And when you watch things from a video shot in a very specific light, in a very specific way, it definitely looks like it. It definitely looks like he blew him off. But I'll say this, that's, from a video's perspective. Caleb Williams really could have just been looking left the entire way. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many people at this guy's pro day, and if you look in a certain direction, you have 12 different guys in media looking straight at you because they want to talk to you. So yeah, of course, you're going to try to keep it light. You're going to try to, mess around. And especially when you know that Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen already had a relationship prior to this. They have a great relationship from what I've been told, which is from Caleb Williams. And obviously understanding, that they are good buddies. So, he's probably fucking with them at the same time, pretending like he doesn't see him. We've all done it. You know what I mean? If you're an athlete of any level and you see your buddy, you're going to pretend like you don't see him, but, they just mess around. They dapped up. I don't think so. You know what I mean? He's also soaking it in. You know what I mean? He's also looking at, wow, I'm in the pro day. This is it. I'm at USC where, my whole career changed. I'm not going to say that's where it all started because it wasn't. But yeah, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Now, if he would have completely blew him off, then yeah, you know what I mean? What's the plans for Edge? Edge is the question, and that's our next topic. It's one of our final topics of the night. Number 9 overall pick trade rumors. Or are we just going to keep it? I think there's a lot of different ways this can go, a lot of different conversations, and a lot of people feel a lot of different ways. But for me right now, man, I think the big one for me is really looking at it from the perspective of best player available. You know what I mean? I look at this team and I want everybody in the comments to let me know. Type tweaking or valid. Please type tweaking or valid. The Chicago Bears have less than 4 holes on this team, in my personal opinion. 4 true holes. I'm not talking about, no, they don't have a fullback. Like, I'm talking like when you look at pass rush, when you look at linebackers, when you look at corners, when you look at secondary, when you look at offensive line, when you look at the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, like there's less than 4 holes on this team. Like I really don't see it being an issue. If you go best player available at 9, I would love Roma Dunze. I would love Malik Neighbors, even though I know he's not going to be there. Brian Thomas Jr., number 2 wide receiver at LSU. This year he had 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns. That's more than Malik Neighbors from a touchdown perspective. 68 receptions. Off 68 receptions is crazy. He played with Jaden Daniels. He played with Malik Neighbors. I mean, that's really, I think wide receiver would be my specialty, or not my specialty, would be my priority. But I also understand if Jared Verse or Dallas Turner are available, that's how you address the edge. That's how you address pairing up Montez Sweat with another generational guy. And I think that's really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And a lot of people felt this way back in 2018 when we drafted Roquan Smith. Oh, well, you have Danny Trevathan. Oh, well, you have Nick Kwiatkowski. Yeah, y'all forgot about Nick. Y'all forgot about Nick was a hit stick for sure. I don't know where Nick is. Last time I checked, he was on the Raiders. If anybody knows where Nick Kwiatkowski is right now, let me know. But I think adding in another pass rusher is very key. I know you have Montez. You know what I mean? What do you need another pass rusher for? Go after it, get him because you can. That's why, because you're gonna make the monsters of the midway defense. Um, where do you think Justin Jefferson goes? I think that's an interesting conversation. Now, why I think Kirk Cousins is obviously an Atlanta Falcon is because they're trying to free up cap space to be able to make Justin Jefferson one of the highest paid players, not only as a wide receiver, but in the NFL history. So I think if they offer him a blank check, I think he stays. Um, if they don't, and Sam Darnold is your quarterback, I think he gets traded very quickly. Now, on a 1-year deal, he could get traded to a multitude of places because he has a relatively cheap deal. I would love to see Cincinnati trade T. Higgins and multiple picks for 1 year of Justin Jefferson. You have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Joe Burrow go crazy for half a season. See if they can make another Super Bowl run. But long term, I don't know. I don't know where he would end up. Adam says he thinks Kwiatkowski is on the Falcons. I'll have to check that out. That's a cold jersey. I would get a Kwiatkowski Falcons jersey. I was a big fan of Nick Kwiatkowski, but with that being said, I think Justin Jefferson's in a situation right now where any team could really go after him. I could definitely see the New York Jets going after him in 2025. I could definitely see a lot of other teams going after him as well in free agency. Oh, wow. Kwiatkowski's a free agent. Sad. Sad. L's in chat. L's in chat. Um, Hey, man, we should pick up Kwiatkowski. No cap. No cap. I'm not even trying to be a fanboy right now. I love Nick Kwiatkowski. Hit stick Nick. That was the guy, bro. But with that being said, man, I think let's talk. Let's be real here. Sam Darnold is the franchise quarterback right now. Not the franchise quarterback. Let's say QB1. If they lose Justin Jefferson, that completely takes out the Minnesota Vikings in conversation to win the division. We saw a Detroit Lions secondary that lost CJ this year. We saw them kind of have a lack of an identity offensively in the playoffs. And the Packers, what else do I have to say? Do I have to just wear a 49ers jersey to Bears versus Packers game so we can get that dub? They fear red. But no. I think this defense is ready for Caleb Will or for Jordan Love. And I think the only question mark is Caleb Williams ready for that Packers defense? You know what I mean? Because they got better. They got significantly better. Um, how do you feel about the Bears' new stadium? I think it's dope. I think it's a great concept. I know a lot of people feel like, oh well, what about the weather? You know what I mean? It's to our advantage. Listen, but it's not to my advantage. So I don't care. And I really don't feel like it's to anybody's advantage nowadays, unless you're in college football and you're playing Florida versus, Illinois. And even then, Florida's going to piece us. So at the end of the day, weather's weather. You know what I mean? Like if we're gonna be playing better regardless, I know Caleb Williams is, he's been playing a little, in fair weather for a while. He's been playing in Cali, so maybe a dome is what's best for Caleb Williams as well. We know how that affected Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers for a while, but it's gonna be interesting, man. And yeah, you know what? We're gonna talk about it. We're actually that's a Perez. I appreciate you for bringing that up. Let's talk about Jalen Johnson's comments. Obviously saying you're not gonna bring that Hollywood stuff in here. We're gonna hold you accountable, and that shit's not gonna fly. I feel like had he not been so vocal about wanting to keep Justin Fields, people wouldn't have read that deep into it. I think obviously he said people are going to feel some type of way if Fields isn't in the locker room in 2024. And I definitely do agree. People do feel some type of way. But I also listened to what Jalen said in that interview. And the second half was, but we're also not going to treat him differently. We're going to learn about him. We're trying to make him the best version of himself. And we got Nate in here. You know what? We're going to try this again because I know my boy Nate had some technical difficulties the other day. Let's see if we can get Nate in here, bro. Let's check it out. We could get the biggest Justin Fields supporter in the live. If not, Nate, if you're busy right now, brother, it's all good. Don't even trip. But I know the other day we were trying to talk some Bears and we had a couple technical difficulties. But man, I think there's a lot of different levels to what Jalen said, and I think a big part of that strides and comes from losing Justin Fields and obviously the pro day of Caleb Williams coming so quickly after that. You know what I mean? Like I think had the Bears got Justin Fields off the table a month and a half ago, a month ago, I think this isn't even a conversation. You know what I mean? But because it's so close to each other, it's a problem. You know what I mean? It's you're creating problems where no problems lie. So I don't see Jalen treating Caleb any differently, unless Caleb really goes out there and acts like a diva. You know what I mean? But here's the thing: you won't know until you know. I'll say that. Caleb Williams, is written off as a diva, a crybaby, all these different things throughout the 2023 season, and then right around the pro day and the combine, he turns a leaf, and he's a completely different guy. He sounds like a great person. He sounds like a great teammate. He sounds like a great human being. But you really won't know until you know. He could be putting on a show just to make sure he's the number one overall pick. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to look like a diva right before the draft. So we won't know until we know. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's this or he's that until I have my own personal experience as a fan of the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams as QB1 of the Bears. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Like I thought Jay Cutler was a great guy when he was coming out of Denver, and then he came to Chicago and I was like, oh, like this guy does not give a flying fuck. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But with that being said, man, make sure you guys smack that follow button if you haven't already. Make sure you share this out to other Bears fans that you think love the Chicago Bears and love NFL football. We are going live every single day, so make sure you hit that follow button, hit that like button so you get notified when we go live and we make Chicago Bears content. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is Mike Hughes, a.k.a. The Shy Kid, and you are listening to another episode of Bears After Dark brought to you by Mike on the Mic podcast. Until then, we are in there like swimwear every single day talking Bear football. Bear down, baby. Woo!